Cool. Well, warm welcomes to everybody on our Wednesday afternoon here. This is our eighth session so far this year for our weekly TLA prep session. And today is going to be a jam-packed day. Got some fun stuff lined up for you guys. Some things I'm excited to teach and go over, as well as some exciting topics leading up to what will be our third TLA prep this upcoming Saturday. So some quick updates and welcome to everybody all across Florida and some of you outside of Florida and up across the coast. Warm welcomes to everybody. So there's a couple people that have just recently been admitted into TLA as of this past week, and I will recognize you all officially at our Saturday prep. And then welcome to any guests that are hopping on here today. I know there's a couple guests from Tampa office, Metro Miami. I think there might be one or two in Sarasota as well. That have qualified at least at a sales level to be invited to come and to attend our local Wednesday TLA preps. So the next key is just getting to 10K and being invited into our monthly TLA preps after you've gone through the correct interview process there too. So all year round, we have been talking about the year before the big year. And really, again, I'll just echo it one more time. I have some kind of opening thoughts that I'll give it at this upcoming meetings. Let me actually do this spotlight myself so you guys can see me. I have some opening thoughts that I'll give, so I'll skim over a little bit more now, but I just want to remind you all, I've had some good calls with some of our NLG members between today and yesterday. And the most important thing about creating a truly epic year is the intentionality that you bring to the year before that year. The biggest and most important thing before having a championship season is what goes into the preseason and the intentionality that you have. You don't win a championship by not expecting to win a championship and training like a championship team in the preseason. You can't just decide in the middle of the season, now we're going to win a championship. Now we're going to be a championship team. It's what happens beforehand. And so my only tidbit for you guys today is just as you enter into the capture the cut push, as we finish off and close out the first 2 months of the fall, we're about halfway through the fall. As you enter midterms and exam season and halfway through your school year, are you being intentional about your growth? I had some conversations with some people today, and it's like, hey, I've been feeling like lazy lately, and it's weird that you're going to hear this from me, but sometimes it's okay to feel and be a little bit lazy. Sometimes it's okay to, give yourself a little bit of a break. Sometimes it's okay to go 100% and go hard in the paint on something. There are seasons of life, but what's important is that you are being intentional about the areas that you are focused on. What areas are you growing? Because the pathway to happiness is always growth, and you're either green and growing or you're brown and dying. So I can promise you, by the way, if you're not intentional about anything, if you're not focusing on some area or component where you're getting better in or improving, like you don't always have to improve in every area. But if you're not focusing on something, and then you're just like a ship that's on the sea, slowly floating away and drifting out to shore. And you don't realize it, but you're getting further and further away from your destination by the second. So quick little reminder there. And again, welcome to everybody that's hopping on here today. I've had some really cool and exciting vector train moments as of recently in this past week, and maybe we'll have a couple people share at the upcoming TLA prep, but continue to share and send those with me. I really always enjoy, especially our vector train moments, for what is our number one goal always is to create 5-star college graduates. So, I've had a couple conversations with people in the past few weeks about just interviewing at different companies, people that are more on the senior year track and they're getting ready. They've already worked with Cutco and gone through TLA. Most of these people multiple times in the past. And it's been really, really exciting for those of you all that have had conversations with to see. I had someone conversation with someone yesterday, and they're like, I always heard, I know we always say vector training, I always knew it was going to be well, but I was kind of nervous before my first few interviews, and they blew it out of the water, got the job offer or internship offer literally an hour after they finished interviewing. And usually you don't hear back from people for a couple of days on those types of things too. So they're like, it was really easy. I was really, really surprised. So there's not been one of those, you know who you are, I'm talking about you now. And there's been a couple of those in recent weeks. So keep hitting me up with the vector training moments. Love to see those. And I want to give you guys some reminders before our TLA prep number 3 that's coming up this week. Actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and recognize our individuals that are our winners of the fall cruising contest. So I've got to check the report right here. 8K is what was required to get into this report for the week. And I got to mention, I want to recognize these people. So let me recognize Anthony Marino. Nice job, man. Leading the way. I think leading the way with the TLA class for sure. So, getting over that $8,000 mark for the actual competition. Did that purely by sales, no PR. So nice job, Anthony, leading the way there. And I also recognize one of our newly admitted TLA members, Victoria. And I'm going to mess up your last name. You're going to Belalowski. I'll get it eventually. Victoria, how do you say it?
It's Belalowski. So you're close.
Sound a little bit like a robot, Victoria. It's all right. So I can't really even hear it, but I think Victoria B is what I'll go by for now until I can pronounce that right. But nice job leading the way. Really, really big, great performance for SLC. So nice job, Victoria. And that is why she's on this call right now. So welcome to the crew. Let me go ahead and do this. Actually, here's what I will say. This is a report ran by both Florida Caribbean and Florida Coast. Can anyone tell me what is wrong with this report when I look at it? Who wants to chime in? Someone's got it.
Tampa isn't on top.
What'd you say?
Tampa isn't on top.
Tampa isn't on top. How about this? Not even Tampa. How about the entire division, the whole entire Florida Coast division? Yeah, Tampa would be nice to have someone on top. But by the way, Tampa, you guys have one person. Let me take the CSPs out of this. Tampa has 2 people. Metro Miami, 0. Sarasota, 0. Clearwater, 0. The problem that this report is look at everyone else in Florida Caribbean. And I don't even think they had that many, but I mean, shoot, like the entire report is Florida Caribbean, Florida Caribbean, Florida Caribbean. Anyone that's not in bold is Florida Caribbean, by the way, especially when you take out our CSPs. That is a serious disparity. So again, I think this is going to come right back to earlier what we were talking about last week with the really standards of what it means to be a part of this division. And I think we need to start enforcing those standards a little bit more when it comes to having a high performance mindset and truly being an ace. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get to the capture the cup push, but do want to recognize those people that actually got it done. Let me go ahead and scroll through to here. This is our Saturday TLA prep. So this will be this upcoming Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon. We have our NLG session on Friday. And then from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have our TLA session on this upcoming Saturday. So if you guys check and peep the agenda, I'll walk you all through it so you have a little bit of an idea of what to look forward to. But starting off with our general session this Saturday, we'll do opening comments. Jonathan Castell will be giving a message on how to start a business 101. So how to really start like any company in general, how to start a business and what that looks like in the Cutco business. Then we'll talk about the SMRA program, which is our big kind of key on how we start our businesses. When you're a branch manager, you get to your territory or location, it's your first time being there. How do you really get going with your office, and how do you get it going? How do you get recruits in the door? It's the keys to the SMRA program. So Eddie Las Cuevas will be giving us some keys on finding and hiring SMRAs. We will go into our PR program, which Adrian Arredondo will be giving us the goods on really PR program part 1. So how to find really the names. Everyone I think at this point on this call knows how to call PRs, but if you've ever asked the question, hey, how do we actually get those PRs in the first place? Where do those names magically come from that my manager gives me every single week? The most important thing is to generate the names. And if you can't generate the names, doesn't matter what kind of PR program you have, you're not going to have a good one. We're going to go into our second session of Money Honey, which is really cool. We're going to start talking about buckets and how to have different money buckets. So once you start making larger amounts of money, and I've already had some of these conversations with some of you all on TLA that already have 10 or grand or more currently saved up, but this is going to be a cool kind of session there that we're going to dive into for Money Honey. We're going to dive into PDI and coaching, self-mastery by Mike Abramowitz, and then we'll wrap things up for the day. So that's an exciting agenda that's lined up for this upcoming Saturday. And as you all know, we have our Friday NLG session from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So just a 2-hour session on Friday. And in that, you'll be able to hear mostly some goods from me. I'm going to really walk through a day in the life and what are the objectives of every single day as a Cutco manager, what you want to be focused on. Really, I'm going to give you guys 2 or 3 objectives. This is straight out of a talk that Brian Holman gave at our SLC conference as well. So I think you guys are going to get a lot of value from that. And we'll be starting a masterclass series where we talk about different branches that have gone national. So Mason Linker will be one of our first featured speakers. I'll be kind of interviewing and talking about what he did to train, prepare, and how you become a nationally ranked branch. We had 2 this past year. We need to have 4 or 5 on that report this upcoming year coming directly out of the coast. So, by the way, open invitation for this Friday. Now, I do want to mention this to make sure this is clear too. If it is your second time going through TLA, or you already have a letter of intent in, this is not an open invitation. You need to be there, or we should take your letter of intent out. This is branch manager training 101. So if you're going through your second round of TLA, or if you already have a letter of intent in, or if you're planning on submitting a letter of intent in, you 100% want to make sure that you are at this meeting, and I am expecting you to be there. Anyone else, it's open invitation if you want to come. Feel free to come in, check it out. If you're thinking about submitting a letter, I highly recommend attending that event. And if not, it's open invitation for anyone that would like to get a little bit extra juice, a little bit extra goods here. And I get some extra higher level coaching and teaching to that group here specifically. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and send out one thing real quickly. I want to give you guys some reminders of assignments before we dive into the coaching here for today. So let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys. I'm going to send it into chat. So a couple quick assignments, and all the assignments, by the way, are due Friday night at 10 p.m. So make sure that you have these locked and loaded. I'm going to send 3 things into the group chat. Okay. Again, Friday at 10 p.m. is when these are due. So don't wait to the last minute to get them done. Really, there's just 2 major assignments at this point in time that you need to have done before our first TLA prep. So, and I just forwarded them both. Number 1 is the How to Win Friends and Influence People, which we will be debriefing today. So we'll talk about a little bit more on Saturday, but if you haven't read it yet, that's okay. The assignment's not due till Friday, but I mean, if you haven't read any portion of it yet, I mean, you're going to struggle to get this thing done by Friday. I can promise you that. So for everybody else, we'll be debriefing at least the first half of the book. We'll be debriefing the second half of the book on this upcoming Saturday prep. So you have both those, and you need to fill out the Google form. So you can email me your notes. Some of y'all, you're like, hey, I have like 20 pages of notes. They're not going to fit on the little Google form. That's fine. Email them to me, and just submit the Google form though still, so I know that you did it when we check assignments. And the second one is uploading the video on YouTube. Quick notes on the video, make sure you have the right post interview. Second thing is, ideally, I want to hear the role play. So if you're role playing with someone else, like make sure that you can hear the candidate or the person that's doing the interview. Ideally, you want to be able to hear like the back and forth conversation, not just you speaking. If you already recorded it and did that, then you can just run with that at that point. But I want to hear both the candidate and the responses, so it makes sense and it's relevant what you're actually responding to. All right. Any questions on assignments, by the way, guys? Cool. Should be pretty straightforward at this point. One friendly reminder outside of the assignments due Friday night. The last assignment is your PCs for the Capture the Cup push, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Those are due by Sunday. 80% of our TLA, by the way, though, should have those already done by Saturday. So if you haven't scheduled one of those with your manager yet, make sure that you do that, because if they're too busy, by the way, on Sunday, and you wait till the last day to do it on Sunday, and you don't get one with them because they don't have space for you to get it done on Sunday because you waited until Sunday to reach out to them to get a PC, that's not going to be their fault. That's going to be your fault. So I'm going to be holding everyone accountable to these ones. SLC was I think one of the challenges was people get PCs kind of late in the game. So I want to make sure that we're preparing well ahead of time for these ones. And make a statement for your matrix scores. Just so you all know, if you haven't seen it already, the official matrix scores were released yesterday, where everyone's at. So shout out to Jonathan Castell, having the highest number 1 ranked TLA candidate right now in the division, with the highest matrix score here. And these are what the matrix scores are calculated based off of. So if you're wondering where you're at, look up these. Some of you guys made some major moves with your startup editions. Some of you all recently requested money out of startup, which is totally cool, but just know that it will be reflected in your matrix score soon. So it's not there yet, but there'll be some adjustments. Just so you all know, these will be heavily adjusted after this Saturday's TLA prep. So everyone is pretty much in the same category here for these right now. What I want to make a note on is 2 ways to impact it. Is you can impact your startup But manager skill set, that video that you submit, you're going to get a grade of 1 to 5 on how well you do a post interview. That's going to be one of the first things that's going to affect your manager skill set grades. So that will get factored into your TLA score. Right now, everyone's the same, unless you've already ran an office before or you've been a high-powered assistant manager, then you might be a little bit higher than some people automatically. Other than that, everyone's the same. Intangibles, same thing. Pretty much everyone's the same, unless you have already done enough things in the fall to make me lower your intangible score, and that AKA is being late to meetings, missing assignments, which some of you have done. Those kind of things I have already lowered your score. So here's a couple of quick tips. If you want to raise your tangible score, make sure you're on point with assignments and arrival times. Like I will be docking off. There's way too many missed assignments and late people onto the past prep that we ran. So I will be taking these pretty seriously too. Actually, who can tell me what will be the time that I will mark as anyone after this time will be late to arrivals on Saturday morning for both or Friday morning, since they both start at the same time for NLG. What time will I be marking people late and taking off on their intangible scores? Who knows? Who wants to shout it out? Leah?
5 minutes before.
All right, I guess I'm getting some different times here. What time is it, guys? Which one is it?
9:50.
9:50. So yeah, so 9:51. If you're on there 9:51, I'll be marking you as late because the arrivals are by 9:45 and start time is at 9:50 with our mix and mingle, speed networking, and icebreaker exercises too. So that will start at 9:50 a.m. So if you're not on at 9:50 a.m., you will be late. Just prefacing it out there. I think everyone's on the same page, but I just want to put it out there one more time because we had some people that were a little confused last time when we ran our last meeting here too. So friendly reminder for that one. Just want to make sure, again, we really are, again, my job, by the way, as a division manager is to make sure we're following and leading from those pillars. So if you hear me stressing certain things a little bit over, I really want to make sure that I am recognizing people that are in line with those 4 standards and with those 4 pillars, and also calling people out when things are being done by myself, our district manager team, our branch manager team, our TLA, or our representatives that aren't in line with those. And one of those pillars is true professionalism. And I've seen a little bit of the true professionalism slip away from us. So I'm making sure that I do a good job of bringing that back and bringing our attention there too. So also want to give a shout out to some people that have made some startup moves as of recently. So I'll just actually give them a couple shout outs. And these should be reflected. My assistant just sent out the check yesterday to New York. So these should be reflected in your accounts by next commission run. Anthony Marino put another $2,500 into startup. Taylor Rosenthal put another $7,000 into startup. So just shy of 10 grand, I think right now. Celestial put $1,000 in startup, and Nick Dana put $1,000 into startup all since the last one. Juliana also put another $100 into startup. So nice job making some moves there. Again, if you want to get anything on the radar before the next matrix score statements, feel free to do that and reach out to me too. And keep doing the $100 rule. A lot of you all, this is going to be an assignment that will be due. Again, it's due on I think October 30th or November 1st is the Money Honey spreadsheet assignment. So I'm not putting on the assignments for Saturday because I just wanted to make it simplify it. And I'll give you guys a reminder. So don't worry about getting this done by Saturday. But one of the things that you'll start to look at on Money Honey is where you are at with your finances and your expense control and tracking, your golden number, if you will. And one thing that I think can help with that too is if some of you all, I've had a couple conversations this week and you're like, yeah, I started doing it. I thought I was pretty good with money. And then I started doing the expense tracking. And I realized I spent $200 on Starbucks last month or, $150 on this or $200 on this. And it adds up pretty fast. So again, a lot of you all are doing this and it's been some really good conversations and exchanges back and forth. And some of you all have made purchases much more over $100 and haven't reached out to me. So just reach out to me. I'd be curious. And also it's a good opportunity to continue to build a relationship. We can go back and forth. I'm recognizing some new letters of intent that are coming in here in the soon weeks. And the last few things I want to talk about before we transition to our topic for today is getting the actual setup and preparation for the CTC push here. So give me 1 second. Couple quick things. The one big thing that we've been talking about is making moves from this push and making the capture the cup push matter a whole lot more than the SLC push did matter to us. And I just want to let you know, I'll probably be announcing some divisional contests here soon, but I'm really looking forward to seeing, who is stepping up and who's really, really leading. And I need a couple people in our TLA that are gunning for 10 to 15K pushes for the capture the cup push. We need some leaders that are really stepping up and emerging. And I think one of the reasons our TLA class, and by the way, as a division, our team crushed it for SLC. We were one of the best performing divisions in the company for SLC, the number one division in the company last week at SLC. But I did not see a lot of high-powered success from our TLA candidates. And this should be the most high-powered group in our division. This should be the group that is the most recognized group. This should be the group that's on the reports. We still experience a lot of success as a division team, as a district manager team, as our respective offices. Individual reps experience a lot of success. But I did not see a lot of leadership come from our TLA class. So, coming and making sure that you're doing what you need to do now to set up and prepare for this push. And if it sounds like I'm really keep talking about this push over and over again, and it's like, Andrew, didn't we just finish a push? How are we already talking about the next one? And yes, that is correct, because we didn't have the performance that I wanted to see from the last push. And I want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do as individuals, as leaders, as assistant managers on some of your teams to set up and prepare for this upcoming push the right way. I showed this slide last week, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and expecting different results. So you got to think differently. Here's a quick question that I would ask yourself. Number one, you might have already done your PCs, or maybe you haven't done your PCs, but the first question I would just ask yourself right now: have you created a business gift attack list for the push? Have you created a business gift attack list for the push? Look, and I know some of you guys don't know this. Here's a quick fun fact for you all about Cutco's sales. We sell 70 to 80% of what we sell as a company during the summertime. Okay. And by the way, who can tell me why that is?
There's no school. That's when recruiting is the best.
Yep, because we're primarily, a student recruiting company. We recruit more students, we work with more people, people are available, and sell more collectively during the summertime. Now, if you're a CSP and you do this full-time professionally as a career, you work year round selling Cutco, who can tell me when they sell the most Cutco out of the year? Does anyone know?
Around the holidays.
Fall, always the fall. They sell a lot of times 70% of their sales come in the last 3 or 4 months of the year: October, November, and December. So, even though your offices sell less, even though we have sales reps that sell less, that's because kids are busier with school. It is not because it is a worse selling climate. In fact, it is a much better climate to sell Cutco in the months of October, November, and December than it is at any other point in the year. And I can promise you guys that. So, as you go into this push, I would be thinking strategically. And it's good that you can have, a push or two, or you can have maybe a business gift order or two, or you have an uncle that you can reach out to the last second to get a last little phone order in. But I would be strategic, because business gift orders, a small business gift order, guys, is $3 to $4 grand, or $2 to $3 grand. That's a small business, order for a company that's giving away gifts for employees or for the holidays or to their clientele. A normal business gift order is probably 5 to 10 grand, and a larger order is probably 10 grand plus. We've had literally almost in our division a 10 grand business order every week for the past 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So I would just be thinking, if you haven't already created a business gift attack list yet, you're kind of behind. And I would just make a list of hey, who are 20 people I know that own a business or have some sort of leadership role inside of a business? Because, by the way, a business gift is different. You're not selling people on buying Cutco. You're selling people on getting a better gift when they already spend money on gifts. Most people are spending money on a wine bottle, that's $150 that they're going to use and drink and never remember ever again, or some other crappy product. And when you think about it, guys, Cutco is one of the only products that if you really want to get your brand out there, there's only a couple products that you can sell where people are going to touch it and use it every day. You can sell a refrigerator. You could sell someone a car. You could sell someone knives. You could sell someone a phone case or some kind of accessory that's going to go on their phone. But the reality is you're probably not giving any of your employees or clients a refrigerator. You're probably not going to give them a car. You're probably could give them a phone case that they're not going to use because everyone has one of those and no one's going to put it on their phone. People will use knives every single day, and they'll be good and they'll be the best thing in their kitchen. They'll actually get use out of them and their brand or that message. It's one of the best gifts, in my opinion, that you can really give to people. So I'd just be thinking about, who do I know that owns a business? Who do I know that runs a business? Who do I know? Maybe I saw their wife this summer, but their husband owns a business. Who is someone that I did an appointment with? They didn't buy Cutco from me, but they could be interested in doing something for their business. Like, I would just be thinking about these, because if you can get a list of 20 people and you're reaching out to those people over the push, you don't even really need to do an appointment with them. You just need to have a phone conversation with those people that you can say, hey, hey, so-and-so, hope you're doing well. Like, how's the holidays going for you? Yeah. I just want to reach out real quickly. I was wondering, do you do any do you ever get like business gifts for like your employees or for any of your clients for the holidays? Oh, no, you don't? Cool. Have you ever thought about it? Oh, you do? Nice. What do you usually get? Yeah. Okay, cool. You usually get like that's the thing is too, guys. Number one, either they don't. So cool. Have you ever thought about doing that before? Right? Maybe you do that this year. Or they already spend the money, which means you're not selling them on Cutco. You're selling them, hey, take that 10 grand that you spent on crappy gifts last year and spend on something better, and I'll give you a discount and you'll be helping me out, your favorite nephew, in the process. But you can say, oh, hey, cool. What do you spend? And all you want to do is just get an idea of like, hey, how much do they spend on a monthly basis? How much do they spend on a yearly basis? Hey, we allocate this much. We have a 20 grand budget. We have a 10 grand budget. We spend about $100, $150, $200, $50 per person. And then that gives you a good idea. Cool. We can do, hey, we can do gadgets. You spend $50 a head. We can do this gadget, get them an ice cream scoop, get them the entertainer pack, get them a buy one, get one, whatever, get them 2 knives, 1 knife. You just find out how much they want to pay per head and then give them a quote on that. Give them a little bit of a discount. Probably don't do a buy 3, get 1 free. Do like a buy 9, get 1 free. And you can package bigger orders and bigger deals. You can do a construction company. I've seen construction companies order 40 K-bars, for their employees for safety gifts and awards for the end of the year. I've seen realtor companies do it for closing. Hey, you closed 10 listings last year. You're probably going to close 15 next year. Let's get you 15 knives for the year so you can close out and then get a reorder the next year. You can do it on roofing companies. You can do it on companies that are in pharmaceutical sales and they give it to their clients for like wining and dining. There's so many different ways that you can do this, guys. Honestly, almost every single one of you all has at least a couple people that that are going to spend the money either way. So I'm spending a little bit of time on this. Hopefully this is helpful, but you guys need to start thinking about this now, because business gifts don't just like happen because you scored in this is a conversation. These are like business investments. So they want to be strategic about it. It's not something that they're just going to do, the last night of the push because you called them and need help hitting your goal. Like, they need to actually think about it, run the numbers, sometimes talk to people in the business. And you need to start thinking about some of the stuff ahead of time before the push ever starts. But again, these can be pretty big orders. So I would be thinking about that and make sure you're ready to execute. So here's a couple quick tips on actually executing the push. And then I'll give you guys some keys on what I think is going to be an important skill, an asset to have in TLA in general, and then also with whatever you're doing in the future. So here's what execution looks like. Okay. As of now, we've already been doing our series that we've had for team meetings. So last week we went over recommendations. This past Sunday or on Saturday morning, if you're in the Tampa office for a key staff meeting, we went over attack list building. This Wednesday, we have our team meeting. Tonight, we'll be talking about objections and handling objections inside of the team meeting. And then on Sunday, we'll be doing our last and Saturday morning on our key staff meeting. We'll be talking about how to start the push strong, how to make sure that you go into this push with at least 10 demos or more to start. And by the way, part of that is really these 2 phone jams. We're going to have a phone jam on the 27th and the 28th. So I don't really care if you book the demos here, you book them here, you book them this morning. Every single person in TLA, though, should be arriving with 5 to the Wednesday, the 28th phone jam. Arrive with 5, leave with 10. Really, in my mind, you should be arriving with 10, leaving with 15. But I think at the bare minimum, making sure, hey, I'm arriving at that phone jam with 5 demos. I'm leaving, with 10 demos. And a couple quick nuances on that night. So number one, on the 28th, we're going to have a division meeting from 5 to 6:45. So there will be no TLA prep next Wednesday. There will be a division meeting that every single rep in every office is going to be invited to. So that will take place of our TLA Prep next Wednesday. So by the way, yes, if you're here, we still have TLA Prep for you, but it's going to be merged into our division meeting, which will include opening comments from me and then 3 separate talks from our district managers and a jam-packed hour and 45-minute period to kick it off. That will be the team meeting for most offices. So we'll do that meeting and we'll kick off into a phone jam. And some offices will have a 10 to 15-minute, recognition meeting at the very end of their phone jam at the end of the night. But that will be our meeting for the most part on that Wednesday. A couple other things to announce. We are going all out with our Wednesday phone jam contest to kick off the push. So I'll just let you know what the contest is going to be for next Wednesday. Check this out. I probably should wait. Should I just wait to announce it until next Wednesday? Or you guys want to hear it now? Which one? All right, I'll just wait. Don't worry about it. All right. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. I'll show you guys right now. So, and we'll announce this to the rest of the team, but I wanted to promote it to you all just so you guys get an idea here. 7, 10, 12 demos is all it takes. And it's how many you leave with. Again, so not how many you book on Wednesday night. If you show up with 5 demos and you get two demos on Wednesday night, you're going to get entered to the raffle. We're giving away 12 prizes. We're going to give away 1 iPhone 12, 3 Apple Watches, and 8, I think they're like $150, the new Apple Mini HomePods, which are pretty sick if you have not seen or checked them out yet. They're like Apple's new version of like the Alexa, except better. Yeah, they're just better. So anyways, we're giving away 1, 2, 3, 4. So 12 prizes are going to be raffled off. Okay, that means we're going to have multiple winners inside the division, people winning iPhones, Apple Watches. This is all you need to do to get entered into the raffle. So just make sure that your queue is set up, that you've taken some time to go through your goals. And by the way, okay, I will be asking for everybody before the push starts, after you've done the Sunday PCs, I'm going to have everyone send into TLA photos of your schedule. So when you do your PC with your manager, a lot of you all took that plan. You said, you finished the PC, and then you never looked at it again for the rest of SLC. I want you to take that plan that you make with your manager, make sure that you feel good about that plan, and then go ahead and actually make it the plan and put it into your schedule and execute, that plan. So I'm going to have everyone send me a photo of their schedule to make sure that you're ready to rock and roll. And we are taking this push seriously. We got some big moves and big statements and big opportunities. And for a lot of you all, this is like really your opportunity to kind of earn your spot, to really make a statement. Like this is called a CTC push. Capture the cut push. It could be called, used to be called the Olean push, could be called the cut go through college push. It really should be called the make a statement push and get on the radar, because at the end, at the fall classic event on the 14th is when we typically separate this TLA class into 2 groups. We'll separate it into an A squad and into a B squad. It will be basically 2 different groups because there'll be different training at that point in time. Kind of like, again, we said this at the beginning of the semester, you kind of go into TLA, everyone's on the same page, everyone's on a kind of a similar track, and eventually, that track will kind of split on the people that are on pace to run an office for next summer. They have a letter in, they're on pace to start up, they've got enough career sales, and the people that are not on pace as much. So for a lot of you all, this is your opportunity to get back on pace and make a statement. So as we continue to post up for the Alliance, there'll be some divisional photos that are posted into the Gunner chat, which every single person should be added to at this point in time. And then we'll have, after our phone jam, every day during the Alliance, we're going to have a 4 to 5 p.m. Alliance workshop. So I will run some of these. Our district team will run some of these. We have 8 CSPs, Andy Gianti, Nicole Reed, Colton Newborn, Taylor Max, Ricard, multiple people of our CSPs are the best coming on here to speak to us at these events. And then NLG on Friday, I'm going to assign some of the extras to some of you all. So I'm going to have you guys get an opportunity to step up and speak to the division and the region on some of these calls and be able to give some goods and some messages. So these will be every day from 4 to 5 o'clock. If you have class, school, sports, then you can be excused. But on the days that you're going to be there, we took a poll last week, and this is the time that everyone said everyone would be most available. One other nuance here is on November 14th, we're supposed to have TLA Prep number 4. The Fall Classic is going to be TLA Prep number 4. Now, typically I would do, another 3 or 4 hour session on top of that. What we're going to do is just have a little session on Friday for probably an hour and a half. The Fall Classic will basically be the TLA event. We'll have an hour and a half session, probably around 5 o'clock on Friday. And then we will kick off into an order jam Friday night and Saturday morning to finish off the push before we go into our Fall Classic event, which is the only event that we've had the entire year, where all our CSPs will be at it. All of our new reps will be at it. All of our TLA members will be at it. Our management candidates. It should be a really jam-packed event. Think SC2 on steroid. It's like SC2, but there's also a management component for our future TLA leaders. There wasn't that element during our SC2 conference. So really, really excited to give you guys some goods there. Any questions, by the way, before I wrap things up on the push, executing the push, preparing for the push schedule, any of that stuff? Any questions at all from anyone?
So this is like about the calendar for November 13th. I know you said probably we'll do like an hour call that day.
Yeah, I can actually do, let me see if I can create a poll here real quickly. Give me 30 seconds. I'll do a quick poll. We could do it in the morning. Let me put November 13th, TLA times. So here's the options. I am leaning towards 5 to 6:30 p.m. into phone jam kickoff, into order jam on that Friday. This is Friday, by the way, November 13th. We could do a Friday to a 5 to 6:30 session, or we could do a session like in the morning, like an 8 to 10 a.m. type session, or 8:30 to 10 a.m. session. That's really the two. Here, I'll just go ahead and do it right now. Let's see. All right, check out your polls in 3, 2, 1. Cool. So we will have an order jam to answer Audrey's question Friday night, either way, and we'll have an order jam on Saturday morning. So the question is, we want to do TLA on a Friday morning and then reconvene everyone at the order jam Friday night, or do we want to have TLA session for an hour and a half, just kick right off into an order jam, and then we'll have an order jam Saturday morning leading into the actual prep. So those will be the two options there too. Audrey, does that answer your question, by the way?
Yes.
Cool. All right, we need 20 more responses here. Can you guys see the results of the poll? Oh, you can't? That's just me. Ooh.
The co-hosts can see the results. And the co-hosts can't vote also.
They can't vote?
Yeah, I can't vote.
What's your vote, Mason?
My vote would be, honestly, either one. Doesn't matter.
Cool. It's a pretty, I think the clear winner is going to be the 5 to 6:30. I also think it's just going to be better. I'd rather not have you guys meet with me in the morning and then meet with me again in the afternoon and evening, and then meet with me again on Saturday. That way, Friday night is just like a little TLA order session jam. And then we have Saturday morning and then the actual Saturday prep. I think it's going to be a little bit smoother there. So, and that's what the majority of the answers are. It was like 65% to 30%. So, that's what we'll run with. If there's any questions, you guys can feel free to let me know. I'll give you guys some additional details on that at this upcoming Saturday's TLA prep. Any other questions though? Good question, Audrey. Cool. We're going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time debriefing how to win friends and influence people. So again, just friendly reminder, if you haven't read this yet, technically that's okay. Technically it's not due to Friday, and there's an art of not procrastinating. So this will be always good. This is always a good exercise for me to see who's procrastinating a ton and who's already actually dove in and read it. So take a quick second, take 30 seconds to get out your notes. Primarily debriefing the first half, but this will really be open to any major takeaways that you've had so far since you started the book. This is one of my favorite business books, really, of all time. A lot of you all know this, but when I ran multiple branch offices during my Cutco career, I literally almost doubled or tripled my sales every time I ran an office. First branch, I did 130 grand. Second branch, I did 350 grand. The next branch, I did 680 grand. And I can honestly point to a couple things. Usually it was about 3 books each time that I read in between those summers that I feel like significantly changed the trajectory in my results for that summer. My second summer, after I went from running my first branch summer, and a lot of you guys aren't going to believe me when I say this, but believe it or not, I used to really suck at connecting with people. I used to really suck at coaching people. I just sucked at connecting with any of my reps, legitimately. I ran an office. We were crushing it in May, my first branch summer. Like May, I had a week where we did like 27 grand or 28 grand the first week of May in my branch office. It was like the second or third week of May. So I was like, damn, we're going to crush it this year. And we were doing pretty well. And then, SE1 finished. I had like 20 people at SE1 my first summer as a branch, and it just crashed and burned from there. I remember I went to go PC all my reps for SE2. This legitimately happened. I went to go sit down and get them all committed and bought in to do and perform more. And every single time I sat down with one of my top performers, they quit on the spot or within 24 hours of me sitting down with them from all my top people. So we crashed and burned pretty hard. And I realized, all right, I'm pretty good at recruiting, and this whole like coaching, connecting people and retaining reps, I need to work on that. And one of the big books that I read my second summer, as that summer was going started, I literally remember being at the, I think it was the Planet or whatever it is. It wasn't Planet Fitness, some kind of gym over on Coral Way that to this day is still charging me $10 a month. And I have yet to be able to get it canceled. It's been 5 years now. And actually I just had my executive assistant take care of that. So money, honey, make sure that you're not getting charged by gyms that you no longer use. But I remember listening to that every single morning, and every single morning I was listening to this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's one of the things that I feel like genuinely helped me connect better with others, relate more to others, be more personable, and not in a manipulative way where it's like you're just trying to like be strategic, but in a way like, hey, you're just genuinely being a better communicator, being like just a nicer human being, being someone that is easier for others to like and to enjoy being around, So I think there's a lot of goods that are packed into this book. And for those of you guys that haven't finished, I really hope your Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is filled with some nuggets. So let's go ahead and open up. Any takeaways now that you guys have your notes up and running? And we'll just go around the horn on a couple of them. Yeah, let's start off. Noah, you can share.
Okay, so one big epiphany that I had, and I'd say this is probably the main point of like the first two chapters, but so this was difficult for me because I am like a proud person, but I realized that you sort of have to ask yourself, like especially in coaching, so which is more important, being right or like getting what you want out of the person? Because like I enjoy being right, of course, but at the end of the day, like even if the anger is justified, if like frustration is justified towards someone, it's not always productive. So, like talking about, it's more useful to sort of level with them and not make them feel bad about themselves, but rather to help them feel good. Because people are always going to find excuses and find justification for whatever happened, and like say that the person doesn't understand, or that, my situation is different and they don't get it. But just sort of meeting them where they're at is more useful, even if it's easier to blow up at them or make them feel bad. So yeah, just learning to lay down my pride, and not just in coaching, but like with anything. I think that's just going to go a long way for me and like help me mature as well. So
yeah, I'm glad that you share that, Noah. And that takes a lot of humility and honesty too, even just to say like, hey, that's and to echo your point, yeah, like a lot of time, especially I gotta mute somebody here. Maybe I don't know. A lot of times in coaching reps or in leading other people, that like, look, if you guys ever get into a position of leadership or management, your reps are going to be wrong a lot. Like people are going to make mistakes a lot. People are going to say, hey, you can count on me for this. And they're not going to follow through with it. And you can't count on them. And a lot of times early on in management, it's easy to take those things like very, very personally. But a lot of times when people are struggling, what they need is not like to hear that they were wrong or that they messed up or they really F this one up this time. Like usually they already know. Usually they're already feeling bad. And if they were doing well, they probably wouldn't have underperformed or not fallen through or messed up in the first place. So a lot of times what people need more is that encouragement, love, and support, right? And, help versus like hearing, hey, you're wrong, or you messed up, or you screwed this up one more time. sometimes it is what people need to hear, but just learning that. We got some other people raising their hands. Thanks for chiming in, Noah. Let me see who else is raising their hands. Amanda, you want to chime in?
Yeah, off that point, Andrew, I mean, it's just so important not to criticize people, because when you criticize someone, automatically their defenses come up and you're out of rapport with them. So in coaching and when working with people, never criticize them. Always be curious more than anything. And something else that was a great reminder is someone's name is the greatest word to them. So make sure that you're learning people's names, especially like when you're running interviews, if you're branching, DMing, or just an assistant manager and that's your role. Like make sure you can get really good at learning people's names, because it's the best thing for sure to be in rapport with someone.
And hey, I'm not good with names is not a good excuse. Guess what? I'm not good with names either. Like I remember literally when I used to run interviews back in the day, because I knew this was important. I would before I went into the interviews, and now it's easy because you can see everyone's name on the screen while you talk to them. But back then that wasn't the case. So I would literally go back into the office room before I walked into the group interview to start it. And I'd be looking over the applications, figuring out where I'm going to seat everybody. And and we're trying to run the names through my head 3 or 4 times. So I made sure I had everyone's names. And then I'd walk into that interview and I'd walk back there, put the sheets down, and I'd literally just rattle off there'd be 12 people in the room. And I'd be like, all right, so let me make sure everyone's names correctly. It's blank, 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 and blank. Great. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our interview. Okay, by the way, when I would do that, everyone would instantly go,
Power move. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's a power move. You just know that they know that, number one, you're engaged, you're an impressive individual, and most people don't even remember their names after they just said it to you. It always makes it really embarrassing when they don't remember your name in the interview too, and they're sitting down and interviewing with you too. So not only is it a nice thing to do, it's also just a power interview recruiter move. Going back to the Eddie Squabos previous posts, right? Alpha energy. That's one of those things is hey, making sure that you are you the alpha when they know your name and you don't remember their name? Probably not. Are you really leading the pace? So love that you're chiming in there on that, Amanda. Helps with recruiting, helps with coaching, helps with building relationships in general. What else? Let's get who's next here? Let me get Alani. Scott.
Okay. It kind of has to do with a little bit of what Amanda said, that you shouldn't always criticize people. So if someone does something wrong, you don't automatically say exactly what they're doing wrong. Instead, you're kind of trying to understand them a little bit more, because if you always criticize, you'll never be able to understand the person, and so they'll never be able to you'll never be able to truly be able to just coach them in general. If you're oh my god, you're doing this wrong and this and wrong and blah 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 blah, and then they'll always have that kind of defense put up, and they never want to tell you anything because they're oh my god, I don't know if she's going to tell me if I'm doing something wrong. But if instead you're trying to be understanding, and also with that trying to give them some type of encouragement, hey, even though we can help you in this area, I just want to let you know you're doing this really really well though, and keeping on to encourage them. That was a big thing that stood out for me.
Awesome. And it goes back to what was already said too. No, it's just Amanda, just being curious before critical, right? And actually recognizing that. Let's see. Yeah, Taylor, you want to chime in here?
So there was a few different things that I took away from the book, but one of them that's kind of related to what is being talked about right now is realizing other people's efforts is imperative to make them feel important. Was a really big line that I took, because I feel that can be used in literally anything, be it with my friends, recognizing that they studied for a test all day, I should say good job, or in a post interview, recognizing and active listening to know what people said, to congratulate them about the accomplishments that they've had in the past, and letting them know there's specific reasons why I'm hiring you. And when you're coaching, letting them know the good things they did. Obviously it's good to talk about the things they need to improve on, but always mentioning the good things that they did and the things they should continue doing in the future to continue that momentum. So that was something really big I took away, to just recognize when I should point out when someone does something important, because obviously when I do something that I'm using my efforts, other people notice it, so I should notice other people's efforts as well.
Something I just actually gave a talk, Taylor, on to all the whole region on managing through agreements. And I think one of the mistakes that managers make a lot of times is that when you create an agreement with someone, they don't hold them accountable, and that is kind of like, I always give the example of mom and dad. It's like mom and dad, when they tell the kid, hey, don't do that. Don't hit your sister again, or you're going to be grounded, and then the little boy hits his sister again. They're like, all right, you got to really stop that. Or they say, don't do it again, you're gonna be grounded. Well, they just sit like they're going back on their word. It's like, you just said that was to be the case and you didn't follow through with the agreement. You're not holding people accountable to it. So I think one mistake is just not holding people accountable when they don't follow through. But I think the other big mistake is most managers don't do the opposite either, which is like recognizing people when they do follow through, recognizing people when you create an agreement with them and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. When you have that Tuesday team meeting call and you're like, hey, I want you to show up with XYZ prepared to the phone jam, right? Like, cool. Number one, are you making sure you're holding people accountable that said they were going to do that and didn't show up with that? But number two, are you also recognizing the people that came up and showed prepared? The best way to run a meeting, an effective team meeting or any meeting, is to teach through recognition. And what that means is that you're teaching people by recognizing what you want to see more in the team. So when someone, hey, I really want to recognize so-and-so sold $1,000 a week last week, but what's the most impressive is they've been calling in from every single one of their demos. And I really want to just recognize that person for doing X, Y, Z. And I want to recognize so-and-so. I know you didn't have the hottest sales week, but this person is always arriving on time to meetings, always doing X, Y, Z, recognizing best practices and recognizing people when they do things that are recognizable. A lot of times it's easy for managers to be very critical and looking for what's wrong versus like, hey, who's doing the right things, and recognizing people for that. Because when you start recognizing those things, it will duplicate. All right. Let's get Jessica Shannon. Let's go to you.
One thing that stuck out at me in the first half of the book was the secret to success is to also see things from another point of view. And I'm really quick, like if someone does something and I'm like, why would they do that? Like, I would never do that to them, like going back on their word or like low communication. And reading that, I was like, okay, well, if I step back and understand why reps or my friends or my family, like where they're coming from, why they're doing what they're doing, it allows for a lot more understanding. And then like Amanda said, curiosity, rather than just jumping to like anger or like frustration or like nobody ever shows up or nothing's going on and you never do what I say to do. So I took a step back after that one. And I think that was a huge area in my life that was an area of opportunity and that stuck out at me. And then that's in the section that went over like getting people to follow through on what you want and connecting to like they're doing it for them. Everyone does it for them. So it's not like me telling someone to do something and being, well, I said so. Well, I want you to. It's never going to work that way. So that stuck out a lot for me. I think that was one of my biggest takeaways from the book.
Awesome. Thanks for chiming in, Jess. And yeah, just something I'll add there too is that like I saw this a lot of times assistant managers will complain, oh, they never answer my calls when I call them. And it's like, well, why do you think they don't answer your calls? And it's like, they don't answer your calls because you don't ever provide them value when they answer their calls. Their day's never better when they answer your phone call. They don't really want to talk to you. That's why they don't answer your phone calls. If they wanted to talk to you, they'd answer your phone calls. And that's just like easy thing to think about. It's like, hey, so it's like, there's a quote that I heard that I'll always share that, the resistance that we get from our people is ultimately a reflection of our influence on them. I'll say that one more time. The resistance that we get from our people, or in this case, our representatives or our assistant managers or anyone that we coach and lead, the resistance that we get is ultimately a reflection of the influence that we have on those people. So when none of your reps want to show up to the meeting, okay, cool. What does it say about your influence? When everyone quits after their first couple weeks in the job, what does it say about your influence? When you constantly struggle with the same thing, all these students are blank. What does that say about your influence on them? My staff just won't get the job done. No one wants to work hard. No one's committed. What does that say about your influence? And that really is the job as a leader, is to, be the person of influence. And number two, it's like, hey, you got to put yourself in other people's perspectives and put yourselves in other shoes. That's like a higher consciential way of thinking. And you know, you got to be able to relatable. So everyone's going through their own stuff. Cool. Let's have a couple. I want someone let me get someone either NLG, like you've already read this book and this is the second time that you read it. I'd be curious to hear your takeaways, or someone from Metro Miami, or I guess just looks like no one in Metro Miami read the book, or what's up with that? Let me get one of those two people. Well, someone in that category, raise your hand. I'll call on you. Someone from Metro Miami or someone that's an NLG that has already read the book previously in the past. This is your second time going through it, and any other key takeaways that you've gotten so far. This thing on? All righty, interesting. So no one from NLG. Well, I guess we've already had a couple, or Metro Miami, not a single person from my office has read the book yet. Really? Okay. Let's call on, let me get Nick Hernandez. I'm calling you. You can wrap us up here.
Awesome. Thank you. And so let me pull up my notes. So one thing I really liked was just genuinely be interested in what other people have to say. You know, people like people who are interested in them. You know, so because if you're talking someone's ear off about you, they're not really gonna care too much. But if you ask them about, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh my gosh, you're gonna hear like them explain everything about what they do, like how they do it, like what their week consists of. You're gonna hear so much about it just for, you know, giving a shit about them. So I really love that that the book told me.
Yeah, this is building rapport 101, right? Which is just like, you want to know keys to like rocking a job interview, like actually impressing someone on your date with them, you know, connecting with the representative when they just started the job, you know, building rapport with a customer or a client. Just ask about them a lot. People will be like, wow, that was a really good conversation, when like you ask them a lot of like real genuine questions and listen, like actively listen to what they were saying. You know, like there's been a couple people, and I'm usually the one doing that with most people. So when I meet people and they're like, just like really curious questions. There's this lady that I know that I was just at a retreat this past weekend, and she's uber successful. She builds smart cities. She's like, some of the products that if I told you some of the products that she's worked on, y'all would be, your jaws would drop. And I'm trying to just get to know this lady. And it's like, I've been to 2 different events with her, and I still barely know anything about her, but I have a great relationship with her because every time I'm with her, she just keeps asking me questions. And I feel like I'm like, I kind of want to know about you a little bit. But she's like, well, she's just like, so like, wow, that's crazy. And just keeps asking me all these questions and is so curious, even though this lady's been, you know, much more successful than I ever have been, you know, in the past too. So just being curious and asking a lot of questions, building rapport, all good stuff. All right, gents and ladies, we have a phone jam to kick off into. So if you need to hop into your respective offices, team meeting, thanks for being engaged here today. Let's make sure we're ready to rock and roll for this Friday and this Saturday. And I'll talk to you all soon. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. We'll see you all on Friday morning at our NLG session. Talk to you all soon.